This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thanks for getting up with us on this Sunday morning. I'm Tim Gordon. It is 6 o'clock in the morning for you this morning. Let's get right to your headlines this morning. And new for you, a fatal crash claimed the life of a motorcycle rider in Portland's St. John's neighborhood. Now, there's a lot to unfold here. Officers who were working a street racing mission responded to the scene on North Marine Drive just after 11:30 last night. Investigators say it looks like the motorcycle crashed into the side of an SUV. Two people inside the SUV had to be treated at the scene, but it took an ambulance a while to get there thanks to an illegal street racing takeover that blocked all traffic on North Marine Drive at the I-5 interchange. Now, during the investigation, another motorcycle rider drove through the crash scene, nearly hitting two police officers. That led to a 57-minute long chase that ended in Gresham. That rider was arrested and faces a long list of charges. But again, one motorcyclist killed at the start of all of that. Well, the big story this half hour is our weekend weather. Saturday was one of the warmest days of the year. Just something else, and the sun is coming up this morning for another one. So let's get right to meteorologist Chris McGinnis with a look ahead at our Sunday.
Yeah, 98 July 5th. That's the hottest day of the year. Yeah. 96 yesterday.
Wow.
So yeah, and I think we're going to ratchet down on the heat just a little bit today. So not quite as stifling hot, but still warm, and the sun is up. In fact, I'll move out of the way. This is pretty cool. You've got Mount Hood there from our Stoller Vineyard camera. Oak tree up there. Nice little juxtaposition here with a little haze in the air, of course, as well. All right, we'll switch gears. The sun obviously up over downtown right now. 63 degrees at PDX, so we're a couple of degrees cooler than yesterday at this time. The northwest breeze at 5 as well. The coast is certainly feeling that onshore push this morning, and some of the nooks and crannies in the Coast Range and up through the Columbia River Valley into Columbia and Clatsop County are starting to see some cloud cover, but it's clear right now in downtown. It's 61 in Vancouver. We hop over the Cascades. A scorcher yesterday. The Dalles hit 105. That was the hottest place in Oregon yesterday. Technically Washington, because the Dalles reporting site is actually Dallasport, Washington. Did you know? File that into useless knowledge, right? 51 degrees this morning in Baker City and 46 in Sun River. All right, the plan for today, 63 now, full sunshine at noontime, 79. We may or may not get to 90 degrees this afternoon, but the point here is that we're just a smidge cooler today, Tim, and then major relief comes in tomorrow with morning clouds and maybe some drizzle. I've got that part of your forecast coming up in just a few.
Still hot enough today. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the hot and dry weather meant a busy Saturday for firefighters across the region. Portland firefighters worked on a fire near North Greeley and Going. The fire burned about 200 square feet of hillside. Firefighters now have that fire out. No one was hurt. No structures were damaged. But it wasn't the first brush fire that firefighters had to put out on Saturday. Highway 26 was closed near Banks while crews worked to put out a fire that started in a vehicle, spread to a home, and then spread to the brush. Ashley Grams takes us there.
It was slow going at the intersection of Highway 26 and 47 as the Washington County Sheriff closed the road.
Dispatch received between 5 and 7 phone calls all at once on a big column of black smoke.
The Banks Fire Department was called out to an RV on fire. That RV was right next to a home. Both started burning, but the people inside got out safely. Firefighters were able to put out the home fires, but flames jumped to nearby brush and trees.
What this fire also then spawned is a series of wildland or forest and tree fires in the surrounding area.
Banks Fire is a volunteer fire department, and several other departments came to help from Yamhill, Scappoose, Forest Grove, and Hillsborough.
The combination of the terrain, the heat of the fire, the weather, humidity that we're having, and the red flag wind warnings that we're having could have all spelled a major disaster. Command chose to hit this with as heavy of a task force as we could and to get it knocked out before it could get to that point.
As crews put down containment lines, Adams says this is a reminder that fires can get out of control at any time.
They can pop up anywhere. When you've got that little backyard fire going, when you've got that grill going, please keep water handy.
Another small fire got sparked in Forest Grove in the backyard of a house near Joseph Gale Park. Crews were able to put it out. No one was hurt. There wasn't any damage except for burned areas of the yard. At this point, firefighters don't know how it started. Okay, this may seem like overkill, but there's one more fire to tell you about. This one in Cowlitz County. That's where a brush and structure fire started burning near Klein and Delameter Roads near Castle Rock. Delameter Road was closed as crews worked to get that fire out. And if you were with us Saturday morning, you heard about the fire that broke out in Forest Park. Well, Portland Fire and Rescue say it was less than an acre, but crept towards some dense vegetation. Thomas Schultz talked with firefighters on what is turning out to be a busy weekend for them.
Charred wood is left from a fire put out by Portland Fire and Rescue in Forest Park this morning. Firefighters carried equipment through trails to reach the fire before it spread past the trunks of these trees. Meanwhile, other departments are readying for an expected uptick in fires. The Clackamas Fire District added staff to a fire station in Sandy this weekend through a $35,000 grant from the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office to rural fire stations.
So we have more firefighters out there to kind of man more rigs to get them where we need to have them.
Isaac Hamilton urges the public to be on the lookout for even a wisp of smoke. If you see anything, you should call the nearest fire department immediately.
But it doesn't take long once those temperatures go up and that humidity level drops for that wildfire danger to just shoot through the roof.
Campfires, sparks from towing chains, or even a flicked cigarette can lead to a fire.
With the increased temperatures and the lower humidity, it really makes all of the vegetation around us really susceptible to any kind of a spark.
Those high temperatures are also leading many to the water.
It's hot and I have two little girls and they get bored at home.
But their fast-moving currents can be problematic.
We always recommend bringing your own life jacket, and if you don't happen to have one, here at Glen Auto Park, we rent them out for free.
Here, parents are making sure their children stay close to the shore. Leong says it's also important to stay hydrated in the heat. And no matter where you are, firefighters say everyone should be on the lookout.
Obviously, the increased temperatures, their lower humidity, and of course, you have a little bit of a breeze going on. They just want everyone to know that we're on a heightened alert for wildfires.
Many cities are suffering through this coast-to-coast heat wave. In some places, temperatures are in the triple digits and showing no sign of ending. This weekend, millions of people are under heat alerts. In Texas, officials are closely monitoring the power grid as demand hits record levels. In Oklahoma, parts of the state reached its highest heat index ever on Thursday. Get this, at 126 degrees. And Phoenix has now reached 15 consecutive days over 110 degrees. That's hot. Well, the pain at the pump continues. Oregon drivers are paying $4.60 a gallon, more than $1 above the national average. Washington drivers are paying the highest prices in the nation at $4.94 a gallon. With prices showing no signs of coming down, some Washington lawmakers are calling on the state to take action now. Julie Calhoun has the story.
For Washington drivers, the price at the pump isn't what it used to be.
Gas is a little bit much. I've seen it in some places where it's over $5, almost $6 at the pump.
We needed to intervene now because you can see the escalation and the impact or the pain at the pump that we're seeing. Why wait?
Senator Jeff Wilson, one of 43 lawmakers to sign a letter urging the Department of Ecology to ease new climate regulations.
One of my beliefs is that's a direct reflection of the high cost of the carbon auctions that have been happening just this year.
Senator Chris Gildon wrote the letter recommending 8 rule changes to the state's Cap and Invest program. It requires companies to pay for how much carbon they release by creating a limited number of carbon permits to be auctioned at least 4 times a year. He says there are things the department can do now before the next auction in August.
The legislature is not going to be in session until January, but we owe it to our constituents to think creatively about these problems and try to help them out.
What we're trying to do in Washington State is to decarbonize.
Senator Joe Nguyen says climate policies will impact fuel costs, but the amount is debatable. He says the program incentivizes companies to reduce emissions.
If they invest in their infrastructure and they invest in decarbonizing and they stop polluting, they won't have to pay a dime.
But Senator Nguyen is now looking towards a policy similar to California's when it comes to oil companies by proposing an oversight board to review fuel costs and prices.
One of the things that we're missing is radical transparency, right? So we have no clue how much oil companies make in Washington State. We don't know how they choose to offset some of their costs associated with this.
Well, Senators Gildon and Wilson are also calling on the Department of Ecology to honor exemptions for the agriculture and maritime industries. Lawmakers have not heard back from the department yet. All right, well, growing concerns about screen time and the effect it's having on kids' eyes. Coming up next, how researchers at OHSU are trying to address the problem and how parents can help their kids at home. And did you know you can watch sunrise anytime you want on KGW Plus? Easy app to get, and then all of our news is available to you on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Just look for KGW Plus and add us to your home screen and stream sunrise on your schedule. We'll be right back.